WWE Backlash 2023, the greatest backlash of all time. Hey guys, it's Tommy on the spot for Watch Along Wrestling. Thanks so much for checking out the video here today. If it's your first time visiting the channel, make sure you leave a big thumbs up and subscribe, as you'll get lots of breakdowns, vlogs, and a whole bunch more fun stuff for the wrestling fan in your life. Alright, so last night, WWE Backlash emanated live from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and it was incredible. I thought this entire weekend, if you look back to the press conference on Friday afternoon that I had on in the background while I'm doing my work here, the SmackDown on Friday night, and then last night's big show, Backlash, I thought Puerto Rico was an incredible crowd. And I'll tell you, I'm actually getting ready to go on my own little European voyage here over the next couple of days. I'm going to be out of town here for the next few weeks. But if this show was not immediately following WrestleMania, which I did so many fun things, I haven't even finished my vlog for at this stage, I definitely would have been at this show. What an incredible night. I think that WWE, you want to look at one thing Triple H has done so well since he's taken over, and remember, his first premium live event was SummerSlam. And if you look at that show and go all the way through to this show last night, every show that he's been there, I think he's done a great job of building up each one of these premium live events to be something special. And that has not always been the case with these shows. You go back, and I said the greatest Backlash of all time, but is that even that big of a statement? I mean, there are a couple of good ones, like 2004 was a solid Backlash, 2007 was a solid Backlash, but for the most part, Backlash came right after WrestleMania, and I always felt like there was a little bit of a hangover from WrestleMania. I felt like a lot of times they'd be like, oh look, here's a bunch of WrestleMania rematches, have fun. And that was not the case this year at all. And it hasn't been the case at all with any of Triple H's shows. You go back, Clash at the Castle, massive show in the UK there. Major deal with Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. Next up, you had the show over in with Logan Paul going up against Roman Reigns. You may not like Logan Paul, but that was a big deal. It meant a lot, and a lot of folks who are outside of the professional wrestling bubble paid attention to that show. And I know this because I have a lot of wrestling friends who are like kind of fringe wrestling friends or lapsed wrestling friends, and they all get involved and say, oh, I heard Logan Paul, he's going to be going for the title. That's pretty big deal. You move along, Extreme Rules, that was a show built all around Bray Wyatt, something completely different, reintroducing him to the wrestling world. Survivor Series, he brings in War Games. Royal Rumble, the whole deal with Cody Rhodes' return, and the whole Bloodline angle kind of blowing off there with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. Even before that, you could throw in Raw 30, even though it wasn't a premium live event. Then you had Elimination Chamber with Sami Zayn going into his hometown. WrestleMania, massive deal, 2 nights. And then last night, Backlash, Puerto Rico, something completely different. And I'm telling you right now, I've seen some people kind of like, I can't believe there's people who went to this show. This was like the perfect wrestling trip. Puerto Rico is beautiful. If you've never been to Puerto Rico, highly recommend it. So many fun things to see, so many great pieces of food to eat, and it's just baking in the sun. It's a beautiful atmosphere, so much fun. Been there a couple years ago, right before the pandemic, and it was great. We loved it. We had such a great time in Puerto Rico. And if you're going from a wrestling perspective, you got 3 events right there. You had your press conference there that looked like a ton of fun, if you could get your way out there for that to really kick off the weekend. I thought SmackDown was great, a great hype piece for Backlash, especially with the LWO having such a focus. I think my man and Steve down in Orlando, Florida, told me that felt like the first SmackDown in a long time where it wasn't all about the Bloodline, and the Bloodline wasn't in the main event. Instead, they were really focused on some other people, and I thought that was really interesting stuff and a great show. And then you go into last night, and I thought last night was awesome. I thought Backlash felt like a really big deal. So let's get into it now. If you haven't seen the show, should you go check it out? I say absolutely. I don't think there was anything on this show that was awful. I think there was actually 3 really strong matches. I think you can make the case for 4, probably 5 matches you should go out of your way to check out on the card, which you can't ask for much more than that. First and foremost, I love the drone. Somebody in WWE learned how to use a drone, so you get a lot of cool drone shots. Had that starting off SmackDown, starting off the show there in Puerto Rico last night's Backlash with the drone shot. So that was awesome, really cool. Kind of a different type of visual, which I really enjoyed. Then from there, you had your first match, Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. This was amazing. For me, I don't think this was the best match on the show because I really enjoyed Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, which we'll get to in a minute. But I thought it was awesome. I mean, just incredible action. Bianca Belair does not miss. I mean, I know there's some people who call her, Bianca Cena or, Hunter Hearst Belair, if you will. But, yeah, she wins a ton. But here's the deal. She's awesome. Like, she has great matches. An awesome match at WrestleMania against Asuka. Now, another time here against Io Sky. And the crowd is starting to turn on Bianca a little bit. You could tell at WrestleMania, a lot of people were behind Asuka. Last night, it felt like everyone in the building was for Io Sky. It was actually, like, kind of shocking how many people were there for Io Sky and not for Bianca Belair. But what I will say is that Bianca really handled it well. Really out of the page of John Cena, so to speak, where she kind of looked at the crowd and was like, all right, I see you. Everyone's hating on me. That's all right. And that was exactly how Cena used to do it back in the day. And you kind of had a little respect for him there. When Roman Reigns was booted out of the building, Royal Rumble 2015, you could tell this man was rattled. This man was bothered by it. Not the case for Cena, I don't think, ever. And I think Bianca kind of took a page out of his book with that yesterday. But this was an incredible opener, one of the best matches on the whole show, if not the best. You can make an argument this was the best. Ends up where I think if Io Sky were to have won, I think it was the greatest near fall. She hit that sunset flip. I thought that was it. I thought it was ball game mogul. I thought we had a new women's champion. Instead, Bianca gets out of it, and they have the wrinkle of the continued dissension between Damage Control, with Bayley holding Bianca Belair's hair on the side there, referee catching her, making sure she lets go, and then from there ends up costing Io Sky the match. Io missing the moonsault, Bianca getting out of the way, and then hitting her finisher, and that's it. All she wrote. Bianca continues to her historic reign, and I am one of those people who's had enough of the long reigns. I'll be honest. You got a lot of people with really, really long title reigns in WWE, but I think that Bianca's done great, so I have no problem with her continuing to hold her title. I've really, really enjoyed the reign, and I'm interested to see. I think you can make a case she's going to go through everyone until eventually maybe Bayley wins Money in the Bank and cashes in on Bianca and goes for the women's title there. But, something interesting to watch as things continue with Damage Control and then obviously with Bianca as she continues on with her reign. Next up on the show, Seth freaking Rollins going up against Omos. Crowd, of course, really into the Seth Rollins theme song. And I'll tell you this. If you're watching this live on TV, maybe you're a little annoyed at the Rollins theme song, but being there live, it's a different ball game. Like, it's actually fun. Like, people do get into it. People are really excited about it. And it's been kind of a resurgence, I think, from the babyface side of things for Seth Rollins, and kind of given his character a little bit of extra oomph that I think it needed as Seth freaking Rollins. Omos, I will say, look, I'm not an Omos guy. I'll be honest. I think it's a kind of a throwback to the great Khali, kind of your big guy who's just very much sort of immobile, and there's only so much. He's very limited in what he can do. But I think Omos is actually getting better each time he comes out, and clearly gets a solid reaction from the crowd. I'm not sure what you do with him. I don't know where he fits in with the storylines, because I just feel like he's so big and there's only so much you can do. But I'll tell you, I thought yesterday was a pretty solid match against Rollins. Rollins could probably have a solid match with me, but he had a great match there. I would say a great match. It was a solid match. Went on a little long for my liking. I don't know that Omos should ever be out there for 10 minutes. But Rollins did get the win, looked good doing so. But I liked Omos. At one point, Rollins is standing there with the spotlight there, music coming down. And then as it's dark, Omos kicks him right upside the head. And I thought that was actually really cool and a good heel move there from Omos. And interesting to see where they go with Omos. He is a free agent. I think they're going to utilize him similarly to how they do with Brock Lesnar. But a man also doesn't get that many wins. So with him not getting any wins, I think that he's soon going to, the more and more times this happens, like Karrion Kross is getting a lot of crap online from people saying, he's not been good since he's returned. He's not been good since he's returned because he hasn't won a single match. I cannot tell you one big match that Karrion Kross, if any matches, has won. So, of course, it's hard to have any believability with him. He comes out with this cool entrance, and he's got, obviously, a beautiful wife. At the end of the day, what are we doing, though, if the guy's going to lose every match? And I think that's similar now to Omos, losing to Brock Lesnar, losing to Seth freaking Rollins. I'm by no means advocating that he should have won those matches, but I will say, at the end of the day, if he's losing all these matches, it's going to get to a point where he's going to end up being like the great Khali. Khali came in, total beast, undefeated for a really long period of time until he got to Cena. But then just continued to lose, and sooner or later, he's the Punjabi Playboy coming out dancing and a fun, I guess, opener. But I think they see a lot more in Omos than they did for Khali, who at one point was champion. So, if that's the plan for Omos, and I don't know that it is, I think he's got to get some wins under his belt. This was solid, though, as I thought it would be. Seth Rollins has great matches with everyone. Moving right along there, triple threat match for the United States Championship. This was Bronson Reed, Bobby Lashley, and Austin Theory. And I will tell you this right now. There was not enough here to really get into this match. It was like 6-7 minutes. They probably could have got a little more time here because I think all three of these guys could really go. But I will tell you this much. This right here, Watch Along Wrestling, is a Bronson Reed stan account. This guy is amazing. Bronson Reed's out there. He's doing flips. He's doing splashes. Last night he did a moonsault. I mean, the guy's got to be close to 400 pounds, and he's flying around the ring. Very big Van Vader-esque out of Bronson Reed, and I hope they continue to kind of build into him a lot there. I'd love to see some more between him and Lashley. They were kind of going at it there. At the end of the day, Theory gets the win again. I don't know what we're doing with Austin Theory here. Every one of his wins is a weasel win. He doesn't get any legitimate wins, so I don't know if anyone's building him up as any credibility. Even when he gets drafted to SmackDown so early, Triple H says, SmackDown wants the U.S. title, so they went ahead and got Austin Theory. Like, he didn't even say like anything remotely good about Austin Theory. It's like, hey, we want the U.S. title, and so Austin Theory has it, so he's getting drafted. Again, I'm not sure what they're doing there in that situation. Austin Theory, though, does continue to win, and again, even though he gets a win over two big monsters, much like when he got the win over John Cena, I'm not sure it's doing all that much for him. Moving right along, I'd say probably, this match here was really, I'd say, your emotional match of the card, so to speak. You had Zelina Vega going up against Rhea Ripley. Even though everyone was very much into Zelina Vega, obviously they loved her. This was her hometown. This was her moment. When she looks back probably at her run in WWE, I think she'll look at this match and this moment coming out very much like the British Bulldog with the Puerto Rican flag garb, so to speak. Her attire, she had the Puerto Rican flag as she came out. Very reminiscent to the British Bulldog SummerSlam 1992 at Wembley Stadium. Comes out, and the crowd is just super behind her. But I will say this. The crowd also loved Rhea Ripley. At that press conference, they were so into Rhea Ripley. They were acting like she was the most badass woman on the roster, and that they were really pumped to see her as well. So this was, a solid match. Again, in terms of matches here, this wasn't great. It was probably a 7-8 minute match. But a lot of emotion. So great to see Zelina Vega's family there. And when she went outside to see the family, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I wonder if the amazing... First, you always look for Aleister Black. But then I'm thinking, I wonder if you're going to have the Amazing Red and the SATs. Some local guys here from New York, I thought would have been awesome. And Amazing Red, was in TNA. But those are her family. I know this. And so it would have been great to see them in the crowd, but not to be... but I will say, her family was really excited. Her family was there, and I thought it was a really cool moment. Of course, Rhea Ripley keeps the belt. She should keep the belt. She just won it, and I think even with the emotion behind it, the crowd was already going to get Bad Bunny, so you didn't need to give them Zelina Vegas. But I thought having Zelina in this spot was big for her. She was clearly very emotional from the adulation she was getting from the crowd. Then a cool moment afterwards, Rhea kind of leaves the ring for Zelina as she exits, and Zelina just takes in a huge standing ovation from the crowd, and Zelina Vega walks off. And I thought this was a really cool moment and a solid match, something that kind of seemed like they added toward the end. You notice these premium live events don't have that many matches anymore. They used to have 10 to 12 matches. Now they have probably like 6 that, they want to let each one breathe. This was kind of the 7th match that was added on there. I'd say this and the U.S. title. And I guess Rollins and Almas too, that really was just kind of randomly thrown together. But instead of just having Rhea go off against someone, I think a match meant a lot more, having the hometown flavor there with Zelina Vega going against Rhea. This was fun, and I highly recommend checking it out for what it was. Next up, I think match of the night, 30 minutes, Damian Priest going against Bad Bunny. And a lot of people have said Bad Bunny is the greatest celebrity wrestler WWE's ever had. And I would agree. Now, I will say this. I do think that match quality-wise, Logan Paul might actually be a little bit better. Don't hate me. I love Bad Bunny. I've seen him live. Incredible show. He's one of my favorites. He's my wife's favorite artist, my daughter's favorite artist. Every one of us absolutely adores the guy. That being said, I do think the thing that really kind of has me prefer a Bad Bunny match to a Logan Paul match is that Bad Bunny grew up loving this. And so he's really studied this. He knows his craft really well. He sells really well. And you could tell everything that's going on for him really means a lot. And so I think because of that, I kind of actually give him the nod over Logan Paul, even though Logan himself is probably a little more athletic than Bad Bunny is. But I will say, happy to have both of them as a part of WWE, and I always was with Bad Bunny. WrestleMania 37, he was on that poster. I have the receipts, all right? I have the receipts of the people who were unhappy to have Bad Bunny on the WrestleMania poster. And now look at this. Like, the guy has embraced WWE so much, really from the start. And I think him being involved, I'm at a baptism party last night, and 8 o'clock comes rolling around. I start heading out. Everybody's like, all right, enjoy Bad Bunny, Tom. Enjoy the match. And these are not wrestling fans, right? They just know that this was something for Bad Bunny. It was coming out. It was going to be a really, really strong deal. So good stuff. And I thought the match itself off the charts. Really cool for Damian Priest too. You know, if you've been following along on WWE's YouTube, which you probably haven't, and they haven't really promoted it anywhere else, Damian Priest was actually vlogging his experience throughout the week. So it was nice. You had Rhea Ripley saying, you know, Damian, you were left off WrestleMania. This is your WrestleMania moment. And I think he really took to it. I think he showed a lot of what he could do. I think that if this happened a little beforehand, he'd probably be one of my favorites to go off and win the new world title on Raw. I don't think he's going to be that guy. I think that he's got a little more time, you know, still to develop. But I really thought he looked great in this. Such great heel work out of him. And then, of course, the big moments in the middle of the match. It starts with, now I will say this, one thing WWE I think didn't do the best with was Savio Vega. They showed him earlier in the show, and I love Savio Vega. And for those who don't know, I'll tell you a story about Savio Vega, why he means so much to me as a wrestling fan. He was my favorite growing up. Always thought he was great. You know, when he debuted in and around summer of 95, and then he went into King of the Ring 95, he's one of my favorite wrestlers. So for me, I always thought King of the Ring 95 was a great show, and I was surprised everyone hated it because you got not one, not two, not three, but 4 Savio Vega matches. You remember he was on the pre-show, the free-for-all, to get into King of the Ring 95. So he became like a favorite of mine. And then you fast forward to March 17th, 1996. We went to go meet Savio Vega at a car dealership. And this was a situation where it was myself, 3 of my friends, my sister, who was just itty-bitty at the time, and my parents. They took all of us there. And the way they do these free signings and get people to go was you'd come, you'd meet the wrestler, and then you'd stick around for a raffle afterwards to get 2 tickets to the WWE house show that was that night. This is like all the time. Every time you go to any of these signings in the mid-90s, that's always what they gave away. And I went to a million of them, right? From like, I'd say 95 through 97, there were signings like this all the time because WWE is always around Madison Square Garden, Nassau Coliseum, Westchester County Center. And so you'd get something for going to all these different autograph signings. And this particular year, Savio Vega signing, again, my favorite wrestler. I loved him, thought he was just one of my absolute favorites. So for me, I knew that we had to go. And so we went down there. Incredible guy, right? He's meeting every one of us, put us all in like a camel clutch type deal. Super nice to my sister, who at the time was like dealing with a lazy eye. She had a patch on. He told her patch was like so cool. Just the greatest guy I'll ever meet. Ends up coming up with the raffle. My sister wins. We won these raffles a lot. Now, I don't know if that was because there weren't that many people at these signings or what, but we won them almost every time we went to a signing. We won something. My parents were actually getting annoyed because they were like, we can't just keep taking these signings because we know you're going to end up winning tickets to that show that night. So my sister wins. And again, she's very little, maybe 6 years old, I think. And so all of us just lose our minds, and we're all flying up to go get these tickets. Me and my friends running up as quick as we can. My parents are behind us. They're running after us, trying to get us to stop because they know it's only 2 tickets and we're 7. So they're like, there's no way this is going to be something that goes down. So we get up to the front. Savio Vega's there with the guy who has the 2 tickets. The guy's like kind of nervous because he sees all of us up there, and he looks over at my parents. He's like, guys, we only got 2 tickets. They're like, no, we know. We'll have to figure something out. They didn't know what they were going to do, right? So Savio goes over, and he's like, he knows the name, right? And he knows it's an Irish last name on the spot. It's Irish. So he comes over, and he's like, today's St. Patrick's Day, or maybe it was the day before. It was St. Patrick's weekend. And he said, your last name is an Irish name, right? Well, this could be luck of the Irish. Savio Vega pulls out 7 tickets right there in his pocket, counts them out, boom. And we got Savio Vega's tickets to go to that show. Me and three of my friends, my sister, my parents. Incredible. Like, what an incredible evening. And it was all because of him. And from that moment on, he was just my guy in WWE. I remember having a birthday party at Madison Square Garden. My friend's dad worked for Delta, so he got us one of the private suites. And one of the deals they do for you when you have a party at Madison Square Garden in a private suite is they give you some sort of merchandise. So they told me I can get a shirt of any wrestler that I wanted, and I chose Savio Vega, and they came in there with the Savio Vega shirt, and I was losing my mind because it wasn't even at the merch stand. So for them to find one for me, I had it. It has something on the back, and I remember what it said. I think it was in Spanish altogether, so, I didn't speak it at the time. Now I understand a lot more of it. My wife is Hispanic, but amazing. And so to see him earlier in the show was great. And I lost my mind for that, but I think if they had held off on showing him backstage, I think it would have even been a bigger reaction for him during that particular match. I think they should have held off on that entirely, like the backstage stuff. But that being said, didn't take away from it. If you haven't seen it, turn this off because I'm going to give some spoilers. First, you had Finn Balor and Dominic come out to kind of second Damian Priest. Rey Mysterio came. He ran down to help out Bad Bunny. Eventually, Numbers Game catches up to him. Whose music should hit? Carlito Caribbean Cool. And the crowd, there was not a person that could have came out last night that would have gotten the reaction that Carlito Caribbean Cool got once his music hit. The place went insane for Carlito. He ran out, and he just, you could tell, I think he was a little taken aback by how big of a reaction he got. But it's to be expected. I told you, I went to Puerto Rico a few years ago. They were still selling Cologne merchandise, Carlito and Primo Cologne merchandise in 2019. They haven't been in WWE since what, 2010, maybe even earlier? 2009, I think Carlito left. So amazing stuff, and just incredible moment there. Go out of your way to see this match. It was amazing. Eventually, Dominic and Finn are kind of retreating. They're getting away from Carlito and Rey. As they get up there, Savio shows up. So if that's the first time not seeing Savio, I think that would have been an amazing moment. It still was great, but if you hadn't seen him yet, I think it would have been an even bigger pop. And he comes out to the Los Boricuas music. Shout out to my man, JC. He knows that I love the Los Boricua music, so that was cool seeing that. Then the LWO came out. Bad Bunny eventually gets the win over Damian Priest. I don't know why this didn't close the show. I don't think it was possible. If you had all of these big Puerto Rican legends, huge names in Puerto Rico coming out like that, I don't know why you would, at that stage, not just put this on last. You had to know the crowd was going to lose their mind for it. The two matches that followed were not bad. They were pretty solid. But even at home, I'm exhausted at that stage. I can't imagine what it was like to be there live for it, and what an incredible moment. Such a fun deal. If you haven't had a chance and you got to see one thing from this show, you got to go and check this match out. It was everything you want in a wrestling match. It's amazing to see the biggest artist in the world. I don't know who it was. Someone on Twitter said it great. Can you imagine if in 1993 Michael Jackson was having matches with Shawn Michaels in the middle of the WWE ring? It's unheard of that WWE has this guy so dedicated to continuing his run in WWE after what started as just a performance at the Royal Rumble 2021. And instead now, here we are 2 years later, and it seems every moment he gets free from having these unbelievably high-grossing tours, he comes and does another thing for WWE, and I think it culminated last night. Amazing moment, and the crowd there, they were incredible all night. This is one of the best crowds I think WWE's ever had in Puerto Rico, and they were really rewarded with this match. I'm glad they got that moment. It was amazing, and I think my wife said it best. My wife, who is Hispanic, said, this is really the Latin WrestleMania, and I think that's so on the money. It was great. Next up, unbelievably, you now had a six-man tag: Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Matt Riddle against the Bloodline, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa. Love Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. Two of my favorites. Their story at the beginning of this year was off the charts, up to and including WrestleMania. I worry that since WrestleMania, there's been something missing a little bit. And I don't know what it is. I can't even put my finger on it, but it just doesn't feel like they have the same pizzazz. And that sucks, because I love both guys. I feel like with who they are, they should be on every show. They should be defending those titles all the time. They should be out there challenging every team they possibly can, taking on all comers. That's who they are. They're men that are of character. They're men that are really, they mean a lot to, being the good guys, the ultimate baby faces, if you will. And so I feel like them only having really one defense or two defenses at this time is actually a detriment to them, and it's almost made them an afterthought, which is a disservice to them. That being said, great match. Match went on about 22 minutes. It was really, really strong match, but was much more about the continued possible dissension with the bloodline. Will the Usos eventually with Roman returning Friday, what will become of Roman and the Usos? And Solo Sikoa, even, he's clearly now a little torn. I actually thought Solo was the MVP of this match, and I love this continued dissension between him and the Usos, where it's like you can almost tell he knows, because he got the inside scoop from Roman. That's Roman's guy now, is Solo Sikoa. He almost knows the Usos here are on borrowed time, and you could tell that he's torn because he loves his brothers, but Roman's his guy now, and you could tell he was like kind of cheering with them at the end and joining them, knowing that, the clock is ticking on the bloodline. So I thought that was really strong stuff. Matt Riddle, love Matt Riddle. I don't know if I love him. I like him. But I knew he was in this match to take the pin. It's the second that the match was announced, you knew that the Usos and Solo would get the win, and it would be Riddle counting the lights, and that's exactly what it was. Was what it was. Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar. Under 10 minutes, I'd say it was interesting because the crowd loved the hell out of Brock Lesnar. They were thrilled to see him. Remember, this crowd, people don't say this crowd hasn't had a show since 2005, and that show was really bad. You go back and watch New Year's Resolution 2005, you had an incredible main event that was a really nice deal. Elimination Chambers continuing to build the dissension between Triple H and Batista. Nothing else on that entire show. So they were stoked that they got a big deal show here, and that they got Brock Lesnar, that they got Cody Rhodes, and it was presented as a solid match. Interesting that Brock bled a gusher, and I do think it was a legitimate hard way bleed. I don't think he bladed. I think this was legit because they went all over the place. No way would it be planned to go all over the place like that. And you could tell it was funny because the ref had the towel, and he looked really torn. Like, well, what do I do here? Do I give this to Brock? I know he's not going to be cool with it, and I'm not sure I really want it. So he had the towel, and he kind of just tossed it to the side, and that was the end of that. So Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes. Hey, Cody got the win. I think that was the most important thing. Would it have been great if he hit two crossroads and got a solid 1, 2, 3 clean center of the ring? Sure. But at the end of the day, it was he had to do what he could. He had to get resourceful in order to get the win over Brock, who he's already said he's a little afraid of here. He's a little nervous because Brock's a beast. Brock's an animal. He doesn't know what to expect from Brock Lesnar. So instead, he ends up getting out of the Kimura and ends up using that to get the big cover on Brock and get the 1, 2, 3. Great to see Cody get the win. Good match. Probably would have been a nicer deal to have this right in the position that Bad Bunny Damian Priest was. And instead, the show would have went off the air with Bad Bunny, the LWO, celebrating, hands held high, Savio Vega, Carlito, Wrestling Bliss in the middle of Puerto Rico. Instead, it was like, all right, cool, Cody won, and then the crowd gave a major appreciation for having Brock Lesnar there, which they were just really stoked that Brock was there. They were super into Cody, and Cody did the best he could with that crowd, too. Went out of his way, had the big promo on SmackDown, which was the big moment, was really great at the press conference. Said, what do you want to talk about in Spanish? I think the crowd liked him a lot, which was awesome, because I really was worried people were going to turn on him, because they knew they'd be into Lesnar. They were also into Lesnar, so it was kind of like they didn't even really want either one to necessarily get the win. They were just happy to see both of them. And so at the end of the day, at least Cody got the win. I think if Cody lost this match, I wouldn't have wanted to hear about Let It Play Out or anything like that, and I was very worried Cody was going to take the pin and then start to lose a ton in hopes that this would really show hard times. Instead, he's right there, and I do expect this to continue, and I think we'll get another match with Brock and Cody at Night of Champions. I do not expect Cody to be in that title match at Night of Champions in the finals. I'm going to get to that in another video, because I know they just released the 12 people who are going to be a part of the tournament for the new world title. I do not expect Cody Rhodes to be a part of that at all. I do expect he's going to be in it, but I think that Brock's going to show up, destroy him, and take him out. And in doing so, whether it's in the main event of the evening or whether that's one of the triple threats, you're going to get Cody and Brock, Night of Champions, in some sort of maybe even a stipulation match as a way to really blow that off. And then maybe Cody gets a more decisive win. I think more to come there. I'd have no problem with this being the first match of a series, but then just put it in the middle of the show, and I think this would have been one of the... I think the match order is the only thing you could really criticize on the show. I think if you put Cody and Brock, and you flip that and put Bunny and Damian in your main event, this would have been an all-timer. Still think it was an amazing show. I think you should go out of your way to see it. I think it's slam dunk, without question, the best Backlash they've ever done. And I hope Puerto Rico gets out of the show because these fans were passionate. It wasn't just about Bad Bunny. It wasn't just about Zelina Vega. They were into everything. They clearly watched the product. They were so excited to see everyone. And I hope Puerto Rico gets out of the show sooner rather than later. But how much fun have these outside of the continental United States shows been? And I know that technically Puerto Rico's a part of it, that's why I said continental United States, but just so cool and such a good deal there. I really had a lot of fun with the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section. I'll be back here tomorrow morning looking at the WWE World Title Tournament. Until then.